What's going on, everyone? All you Yellowstone fans, great to see you again for another season. In this episode of Film Stock Reviews, I'm reviewing Season 5, Episode 1 of Yellowstone, titled 100 Years is Nothing. Now, this fifth season premiered with a 2-hour, 2-episode premiere event. So episodes 1 and 2 premiered back to back. Now, basically, the start of this season, we see John Dutton being elected governor of Montana. The way the show starts, we see him sitting in a room by himself. His daughter Beth comes in, and we hear the results of what's going on with the election. He wins with 53% of the vote. The other uh, candidate who's running against him concedes the race to him, and then John is now governor. And we see that Linnell, the former governor of Montana, is now a U.S. senator from Montana. Now, this is very interesting because we see that John Dutton only wanted to become governor to stop the construction of the airport and the condos that was happening on his land. Now, Market Equities is trying to do all their best they can to push this forward. But with what John does, it's very different than what anything is anticipated. This episode 1 was very focused on John Dutton. You know, he's this rancher. He just does what he does, but he's so much away from the ranch that he says that he's been a month away from the ranch. He's never been away from the ranch that much since he took over from his father when he was 34 years old. The only time he's been away from it is when now he's elected governor. He doesn't know what to do. He tells Linnell that I'm not running again in 4 years' time because I have my certain reasons. And he's just trying to do things, but then he's also trying not to follow certain rules because he's not a politician at all. And this whole aspect of trying to get on someone's good side and bad side is slowly showing, and Jamie is there along the way with him, and still Jamie, after all these seasons, is still a weak character, but he's trying his best in a different way. Also, we get flashbacks of Beth and Rip when Beth took Rip on a date, vice versa. So we get the story of Chief Rainwater, what he's going through, what the good and the bad is between him, and just trying to figure out the aspect of what happens and what's going to happen now with this fifth season that premiered. Now, also, in a really interesting turn of events, Casey is working a kind of job where he has to take certain horses away and they almost cross the Canadian border. And now he calls Monica, and we see that Monica's pregnant. She's like almost 3 weeks due. But Casey has to go somewhere, and he does so, but then Monica's racing to the hospital. She gets into an accident, and John hears the news, goes there with Jamie and Beth. John finds out from his grandson that he was going to be a grandfather to, you know, um, and they were going to name him John. And Kevin Costner's character of John just looks on as like he's very devastated because you could tell that this John Dutton wanted that lineage to continue within that family by carrying the name. It was an interesting way to end the episode. I didn't expect them to end the episode like this, but it was different. And this whole 100 years is nothing thing was basically a callback to the 1883 episode, which starred Tim McGraw and Faith Hill, where Tim McGraw's character is talking to one of the Native Americans, and they said within 100 years, this land, so forth, will be brought back to us, and this and that. That's a play on that. So it's very well connected within the universe of the Yellowstone world. It's really well done. And Taylor Sheridan, I mean, is writing a phenomenal show. He has written mostly every single episode of each season, except for a few. But I mean, he's keeping track and he's staying on the ball. But what other way could you go in a direction with a story like this than to make John governor? Who's going to be his, enemies? Who are going to be his friends? This man doesn't have friends, okay? He just does what he has to do, you know? And it's it's really, really interesting to see how it's all going to play out. Beth is still Beth. Beth is still Beth. Beth is still the Spitfire cracker that she is, and the character is great. Rip is great, and the whole thing about what's going on is really interesting. And what's John going to do as governor? And market equities is basically the big villain. And Jackie Weaver is great as the head of market equity. But it's going to be interesting to see what happens next. Let me know in the comment section below what you thought about the first episode of season 5 of Yellowstone, titled 100 Years is Nothing. Did you like it? Did you not like it? What did you think of it? What did you think about the aspect now of the story and the series going in the direction of making John governor? Because we know he didn't want to be governor because it was supposed to go to Jamie. But John said no for certain reasons. If you don't know what those reasons are, watch the series. And what do you think is going to happen with Beth and Rip? And where do you see everything going with John being governor? Let me know in the comment section below about all the questions I just asked. And I'll see you all in the next review video. And be sure you click this box right here for my episode 2 review of season 5 of Yellowstone.